Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the conference of the Global Apparel Sourcing Expo that IF is organizing together with its partners, ForSource and Sourcing Journal. My name is Matthijs Grité. I am the Secretary General of the International Apparel Federation, which is the global body uniting industry associations all across the world on all continents. We unite them to help the industry, to help supply chains become stronger, smarter, and more sustainable. This conference is bringing together experts from all around the world talking on a number of crucial topics for the apparel industry: sustainability, digitization, innovation, and the new sourcing or the evolving sourcing map of the apparel industry, especially as a result of the COVID-19 crisis. But we start with the topic, the very important topic of sustainability. And I'm very proud to have here Jeannette Mensink and Ivo Spauwen. Jeannette Mensink is the Executive Director of the SLCP, the Social Labor Convergence Program. Ivo Spauwen is Senior Specialist of the ILO IFC Better Work Program. Now we are set to hear about these programs that are so important to the industry's progress on working conditions. But we are also going to hear about the collaboration between these programs, which in the eyes of IF makes everything even better because it helps the industry to converge, to harmonize on its approach, which leads to usually a more efficient and a better result. So we are eager to hear from Jeannette and from Ivo, and IF has some questions for both parties. So we will do this in the form of an interview. Now I would like to start with Jeannette. The SLCP has come a long way from its creation as a project in 2015. Since then, you've grown to about 200 signatories, over 200 signatories from the apparel and footwear sectors, and they've all committed to the vision of SLCP, replacing proprietary audits with a single converged assessment framework. Recently, even SLCP was named as one of the top 5 sustainability programs to join in our partner Sourcing Journal Sustainability 2020 report. So what do you think has made this progress possible so far?
Thank you, Matthijs, and thanks for providing this opportunity to us. So I think all of this proves that the need to converge is more urgent than ever. So SLCP is addressing a problem that has been there for a long time, namely audit fatigue, over and over again, social audits in factories, which were merely the same, and which resulted in incomparable results and were not shared across the industry. Right now, even I would say with the, or even more so with the pandemic, the need to drive efficiency and to collaborate is there more than ever. So I think what SLCP right now is proving that joining hands in a multi-stakeholder forum, so all together, where it's not being dictated how social and labor issues can be measured and how they need to be solved by one single stakeholder party in the system, but all together and jointly come up with an assessment framework as we have developed. The momentum that we have right now, I see that as a proof of years working together, but also stressing right now, the time that we're in, that this is the way forward.
Okay, thank you. No, that sounds promising, but with all due respect, this has been tried before. Several initiatives have had the same goal. So what do you think makes SLCP different? Where and why do you think it can succeed where others have not been able to do so?
So a couple of things that when we started with our first announcement in 2015, and developed the tools and the Converged Assessment Framework in the past few years together with our 200 signatories, and then started last year, first time implementation. I think what we've learned from previous attempts and what we've tried to do in a different way is, first of all, that we are not a standard. So we don't set acceptance level, or we're not judgmental on what is good or what is better. We leave that to partners, but we just provide a verified, credible data set. So it is flexible, and brands and other stakeholders can use it to in their own improvement programs, to link it to their own codes of conduct or a scoring system. And that makes it that it can be used in different ways and basically across all parties in the industry, because everyone would need verified, would need credible data to start and to begin their programs with. Another thing that I think makes us different from other previous attempts is that we've taken the manufacturer's ownership in the forefront. So where previous attempts, there was maybe a more traditional top-down approach in the supply chain, we feel that by creating manufacturers' ownership in the tools and in the processes and creating accountability, that will really drive change towards improvements of labor conditions. I would say, lastly, we've anchored in our signatory commitments that are the parties that subscribe to SLCP, they are committed to leave their proprietary tools in a phased approach, and we see it now already happening. So many organizations, including the brands that you see here on the slide, they're working on revising and transitioning their own systems to use SLCP assessments and to link that to their own management systems. And they have now also publicly committed that they will accept SLCP verified assessments, and if there is already an SLCP assessment done in their supply chain, they will not go for their own audit or for another existing audit.
Okay, thank you, Janet, and well, thank you on behalf of the industry. You know, a real reduction of audit fatigue is something to celebrate, and I also like your approach, putting the manufacturers squarely in the picture as well. And this is something you know that IF has been advocating for a long time. So while I exit the presentation so that we can all see you again, well, it's time to turn to Ivo. So I would like to hear a little bit more about Better Work. I know it's a global partnership between the International Labor Organization, ILO, and the International Finance Corporation, IFC. You're working in over 1,700 factories in 9 countries to improve working conditions. Can you tell me a little bit more about this, and also how ILO Better Work is working together with SLCP?
Great. Yes, thank you, Matthijs, and also thanks for the opportunity. I'm really glad to join you and Jeanette in this occasion. So Better Work is a, as you said, joint program between the International Labor Organization and International Finance Corporation. We bring together all industry stakeholders to boost the competitiveness of apparel businesses, to promote respect of labor rights, and to promote worker well-being. And as part of our vision for the industry, we are, and this is something we have in common with SLCP, we're pushing to end duplication in social audits and to move more efforts and resources to remediation processes and capacity building processes. And for us, it's key that we produce actionable data for all industry stakeholders, including governments, employers, and worker organizations. So what we have been engaging on with SLCP is to create a tool that supports that end goal, focusing specifically from the ILO perspective on strengthening measurement with international labor standards, for which the ILO, together with national governments, employers, and trade unions, is the standard setting organization, as well as national laws. And we do this with the idea in mind to create that consistent foundation for joint remediation to, first of all, remove some of the contradictory and conflicting standards in remediation that have been an obstacle to manufacturers, and to also help policy makers and decision makers at the national level to take a stronger role in strengthening labor market governance and to address policy gaps. So we see collaboration with SLCP as an opportunity to reach that level. As you correctly highlighted already, it's been tried before by other initiatives, but we see that there's enormous potential in this initiative, and that's why we're supporting it with the contribution from the ILO to strengthen the role of national actors, governments, trade unions, employers, and to focus on compliance, performance management, measurement with national law and international labor standards.
All right. Yeah. Thank you, Ivo. That is really interesting, because I can see how you're able to bring a whole network to the table, which includes governments as well, and that sounds like a strong value. But I'd just like to expand a little bit on that. What is the specific expertise and knowledge you think? Can you highlight that ILO Better Work is bringing to the table in this collaboration?
Definitely. So as you mentioned already, we are engaging over 1,700 factories in 9 countries. We've been doing this for over a decade, so we have a lot of expertise in factory level work, specifically focusing on bringing the worker voice into the conversation in terms of identifying improvement areas, and also working based on social dialogue between workers and employers on that process. So at the operational level, our collaboration with SLCP has focused on strengthening the SLCP process in terms of getting the worker voice reflected in the self-assessment and verification processes, while we also, as far as the tool is concerned, integrated the compliance performance dimension of the Better Work approach in the shared tool. So that's the operational side. On the policy influencing side, because we're an ILO flagship program, we really have an opportunity to leverage the ILO mandate and network. So what that means in practice is that we are consulting national constituents. So that means governments, trade unions, and business associations to, first of all, make sure that they are part of this process at the national level, to understand how this can contribute to implementation of their mandate, and to also consult with them on how they can benefit from this shared approach between Better Work and SLCP and take a greater role in implementation over time. And that's really a unique role that the ILO allows us to play, and that's what we're bringing into the collaboration with SLCP.
Wow. Yeah, that's very interesting. It sounds like, I can't abbreviate this in in any great way, but it sounds to me like the process starts with an initiative by the brands. Then through SLCP, also the manufacturers are brought to the table, and through the collaboration with you, the workers' voice, within the manufacturers is raised. So that sounds like real progress right there. Yeah, so that's really good. Jeanette, I'd like to go back to you, give you the chance to add something maybe to the words of Ivo.
Yeah, so maybe just to say that within SLCP, we're really excited about this collaboration. And this year, as we speak, basically we are joining hands in the next version of the tools and our Converged Assessment Framework. We will launch that early next year. We will also in a couple of countries, some key countries, Vietnam, Bangladesh, Indonesia, do that launch together with ILO Better Work. We're super excited about it, not only because of the expertise that ILO brings in to make our tools even stronger and more widely accepted, but also the link that we are now able to make, the alignment that we can make with international labor standards and local legislation. I think what SLCP really wants to do, and this is also another, I think, token with it, we want to be really multi-stakeholder and bring all the perspectives to the table to get to our end goal of just one single assessment tool across the industry, and that way drive efficiency and relocate resources to other things like improvement programs to really make a difference and improve working conditions.
Thank you, Jeanette. Sounds like what the industry needs. Ivo, any famous last words on this topic?
Well, yeah. So, as Jeanette said, we are also very excited about the outcomes of the process so far. We've landed on this integrated tool between both organizations, which we believe is a very significant and promising result. And as Jeanette said, we're moving towards implementation in production countries next year. We are also looking at this, of course, in COVID context. COVID has resulted in some very extreme circumstances in the countries where we're operating, where SLCP signatories are operating. So we need to factor that in. And so what we see with the ILO is that there's a tendency to spend less time on assessments, more time on capacity building, remediation with manufacturers to build stronger, more resilient supply chains and to focus more time on recovery and rebuilding. And so we believe that it's really important to make sure that there is effective use of resources. The integrated tool supports that. At the same time, we also need to think about alternative ways of monitoring working conditions, because on-site factory visits are in some countries, depending on national mandatory lockdowns, no longer a possible solution in the near future. So we need to look at virtual ways to collect data. For example, remote worker surveys, doing virtual compliance checks. So with Better Work, we are exploring that. And at the same time, we know that this challenging situation does call for focusing on national law. A focus on compliance may be difficult in this situation with COVID-19, because factories are facing many problems that have not been caused by them. So we believe that national laws and international labor standards must continue to be respected to make sure that we create a level playing field for all the actors. And that compliance performance does not become a competitive issue, so to say. So Better Work is working with all industry stakeholders to support brands and governments in taking accountability in that process, and to make sure that we can help build supply chains that are resilient to shocks, such as COVID and other shocks that could happen in the future.
Great. Well, thank you very much for that addition, and it's great to hear about this collaboration. And it seems like it also really helps to keep the level of the rate of progress high, also in improving the way audits work. So thank you very much for that. Thank you for your presentation. I can imagine listeners would like to reach out to you. So what I'm going to do, because I saw your email addresses, I'm just going to put up this slide. You can reach out there. You have the websites, and I would like to thank you very much again, and wish you all the luck with your collaboration.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.